Karen from EdibleWildFood.com here, and I'm standing with the daylilies. This plant is actually known as Hemerocallis volva, which common name is the tawny lily, or the daylily, or the orange daylily, or the ditch lily. And that's because they love roadsides. But I'm far enough away from this road, so this makes foraging much nicer. And you can see these are absolutely beautiful flowers. They grow just about in a very large swath throughout the northern hemisphere. Now, let's talk about identification briefly. So you can take a look at these flowers, and they're definitely unmistakable. They're large, orange, they flare out just like the bell of a trumpet. Each plant can produce anywhere from 10 to 20 blossoms. And the really cool thing about this plant is it's known as the daylily because every flower that you see here right now is going to be gone after today. That's it. Its life is over. And on the same plant, another will bloom. So, depending on where you live, these will bloom anywhere from June until August. Each flower, as you can notice, you can see that they grow at the apex of a large stem that's narrow, has no hairs, and there's no shortage of them. So let's talk about the leaves. As you can see here, these leaves, they're long and they are narrow. You're only looking at maybe 1/2 inch wide right here, which would be about 1.5 centimeters. And this plant right here actually is quite a small one. Hasn't produced a lot of flowers. Now, according to Michigan State University, and I'll put the link below, what's really, really interesting is that the easiest way to tell the difference between daylilies and the true lilies is to make sure you're looking really closely at the leaves. The leaves of true lilies are arranged around the flowering stem. Whereas, let me move my commando here. This is a handy dandy tool, I'll tell you. Anyway, so the daylilies have a bunch of long, narrow leaves that grow right from the crown. Let me see if I can get in here. It's right from the crown of the plant. And that's right where it emerges from the soil. So you can see you have the leaves, the stem, and then the flowers. The daylilies in this area, they probably are, most of them are probably anywhere from 3 feet to 4 feet. So that's 1 meter to just about 1.25 meters tall. But they can get to 150 centimeters or 1.5 meters, which is about 5 feet. It really depends on their location. Now let's take a look at the root system, which are corms. These are actually edible. I'm going to take some home and I'm going to wash them to show you what they look like. And they're very nutritious, a lot of inulin, which is highly beneficial for us. Very young leaves, and the shoots are edible. But of course, there are no young shoots right now, just the leaves. But at this stage of growth, I would not recommend eating them. And of course, the flowers can be consumed either raw or cooked. Flowers that opened up yesterday, which probably would be, there we go, there's one right there. You can actually gather those and use them as a thickener in soups. Flower buds can be pickled, they can be cooked. And I actually developed a recipe a few hours ago that I'll share with you shortly after the identification part of this video. And the flower buds can be consumed raw or cooked. And of course the tubers can be consumed raw or cooked as well, but I'll talk a little bit more about those when I get home. The daylily flowers, they are very beneficial to us. Apparently, about 100 grams of the flower contains 2 grams of protein, 0.4 grams of fat, 87 milligrams of calcium, 176 grams of phosphorus, a good amount of iron and sodium and potassium. And in addition to this, it has 3,000 international units of vitamin A. That is powerful, and that is super good for our eyesight. Also contains vitamin C. And as you can tell, there is no such thing as over-harvesting of these because they are considered noxious or invasive in so many areas across Canada and the United States. So I'm going to take you back to my house, show you what the cleaned up tubers look like. I'm also going to gather some of the actual flowers right now because I'm going to make a cordial, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So these are the tubers and the fibrous roots of the daylily. They're not as big as a potato. They kind of resemble a potato, but definitely not the size of a potato, as you can see here. They're very tasty. They're crispy. I have started cutting a few off here, but I didn't get enough to actually start playing around in the kitchen, trying to develop a new recipe with these. I'll probably do that at a later date, but for now, these I'm just going to cut in half and put them into a salad to add for texture. It doesn't matter whether you have the outer layer on these or not. That's what they look like when the outer layer is off. And these provide us with a substantial amount of inulin, which is something that we definitely need. It's a carbohydrate that serves as an effective prebiotic. So that's a dietary fiber that can benefit our gut health. And according to a few sources on the internet, but I've yet to validate it scientifically, is that these do contain vitamin C, manganese, magnesium, potassium, and some copper. Now let's see what's next. I have my daylily buds ready to go here, but what I'm doing first is I'm warming up the oil, and I've already made the batter, and I have a head start with a couple of buds. It is a little tricky, so I'm going to show you, there we go, I'm going to show you how thick this actually is. You can hear it though, listen to this. Kind of airy, and I love that. So I'm giving it a good coat. I'm going to have to, it's very difficult while holding a camera. There we go. And then, et voila. If you have daylily buds that you've picked, try to keep the stem on them because the actual stem is edible and it is much easier to work with when you're hanging onto that stem. Anyway, I'm going to do the rest of these and then get cooking. So as I've been going along here, I've discovered an easier way to do this is hold it by the stem and just kind of twist it around in your hand. And of course you've washed your hands first. And you're just going to put some batter on it this way and keep just swirling it in the same direction. And it also helps to prevent the buds from actually opening up on you. And once you have a good amount of batter on it, just place it on your plate and keep on going to the next one. And here we go. Here is the end result of frying the daylily flower buds. These taste absolutely incredible. They have a really nice flavor, which is hard to describe because there isn't anything that we can grow in our garden that comes close to this. Although the cinnamon does have a tendency to give it that really nice overtone of spiciness. The smaller buds fared well in the cooking process. The larger ones had a tendency to open up a little bit more, but that's okay. So there you go. Here's one recipe you can do. Let's go do another. I didn't bring home very many daylily flower buds, so instead of doing a lot of pickles with these that I can process and store long term, I'm just going to make 1 jar of pickles so I can leave them in my fridge. So what I'm doing is making a very basic brine with white vinegar and water. I put a pinch of sugar and Himalayan salt in there. Inside here at the bottom, I have peppercorns, fresh chopped garlic, and some dill. And some dill on top. Once the vinegar and water has cooled, because I did use boiling water, I'll add it to the jar. I'll put the lid on, and I'm just going to keep it in the fridge for a few days before eating. Who needs silver and gold when you have this beautiful combination of orange and yellow? This is my daylily lemonade. That is the end result color of the lemonade. I'll have a link to the recipe in the description box below. And if you are a subscriber, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. And if you're new to my channel, if you can do me the kindness and consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to share. Thank you.